Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Welcome to the Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you, beautiful people, with us as we talk about Marriage Week. There is a great story about an Italian man. He was married, and it says, hey, they asked him, what's the success to a good marriage? And he said, well, for our 25th anniversary, I took my wife to Italy. And for our 50th anniversary, I'm thinking about going to pick her up and bring her back. Did I tell it good? Did I tell it good? He told the joke better. It's so funny. Marriage is a most beautiful, blessed thing. And this week we've been talking about how to have a good marriage, how to find the right person. And yesterday we went into, the modus operandi, how to make your marriage not suck, how to make it beautiful, how to make it blessed. Today we want to look at the opposite. When we take our wives to Italy and leave them, right? Like when it's not going well, or what are we doing when we don't live crucifixionally, what happens, right? And I think all of us know that the statistics show us, and you can find it, you can check and see if I'm right, but the statistics show us that 1 out of every 2 marriages ends in divorce, right? And we all know people who have gone through it. We may have gone through it ourselves, and it's never a beautiful thing. It's never a good thing. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Maybe in rare occasions when a relationship is so perhaps abusive or destructive that maybe divorce is the right way to go. And, let's just say this. Those cases are extreme and definitely exceptions to the rule. For most people who end in divorce, in their relationship ends in divorce, it's quite a painful thing. It's a destructive thing. And some people never even bounce back from it, right? Think about the tragedy of the children within these marriages and what they sometimes have to go through when a couple can't get it on the same page. And it's a big deal. It's caused... It's just, I don't even need to go through all the bads. You know the bads. Nobody really gets into a marriage thinking, all right, I'm gonna do this for 5 years and then I'm gonna divorce. Like, that's not the plan for anybody going into marriage, because we know that it's not what God designed. We know that it's destructive for all of the people involved in it, and we also know that somehow it's because we're not living crucifixionally. And I think that's something we've got to keep in mind. Just to kind of piggyback on what we were talking about yesterday, in Ephesians 5, St. Paul gives us the mode, how we're supposed to live within marriage. He's speaking to grooms or husbands, but he's really talking to all of us. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, right? Like, Christ loved so much that he was willing to go through horror, torture, pain, suffering, mockery, spitting, scourging, all of those things on a cross, shamed by his people that he created and came to save. And yet, by so doing, he does not go to death, he goes through death into an empty tomb. Do you understand? Like, the message is that Christ loved so much that he was willing to die on the cross, to be crucified for all of us. And the challenge that Paul throws down to the rest of us is, look, within that, he uses marriage as a metaphor. In your own life, within your own marriage, if you want to avoid the pain of divorce, and if you want to, end in a beautiful, blessed marriage, then simply put, you must also be crucifixional in your own life. And that really is a hard thing because, as you watch and look at stuff around in the world, whether in your socials and the news and just in the context of life, everything is pushing towards you and get what you want and make yourself happy and make yourself comfortable, right? Everything is telling you don't sacrifice, right? Like, that's what the mass marketing, mass media mindset is really pushing out there. It's like, look, comfort, ease, you do you. Greg always says that. You do you, boo-boo, or whatever it is. Make yourself happy by getting stuff for you. And really, does it work? I mean, we always say it in the Warrior Saints Academy and in our movement. It's like, is it really working? I mean, with all the stuff that's out there pushing this, we're just more miserable than people have ever been. And I'm sure there are, other factors contributing, but nevertheless, it's like, wake up. Right? Like, let's realize that what the world is throwing on us, it just ain't getting it done, right? It's not working. And so we've got to take, I believe, a counterintuitive approach, meaning the cross, meaning sacrifice of self. Look, I'm going to go all the way back to Genesis, and I just came into my head. I didn't give it to Greg to load up. But, you can see the very first sin, the way that the serpent tricks Eve. He says, hey, lady, can you eat in any tree? Did God give you any commandments? And she said, yeah, we can eat from any tree except that one tree. If we do, we will die. And what does the serpent say to her? Listen, this is from Genesis 3. You will not die. For he knows, meaning the serpent is saying God knows, that the day that you eat from it, you will be, able to see the difference between good and evil, and you will be like God, right? You see that. If you, Eve, the serpent tricks her, do what you want to do, you will be like God, right? The first and greatest of all sins is that her being duped into ego. And that's really what I think the world out there is trying to tell us. You will get what you can be divine. I know that's not what marketing says, but that's really what they're saying. You will get what you want. And yet we saw with Eve, it led to death, right? We also know in our own world that when we do that kind of stuff, it leads to more pain and suffering than anything else. And in our case today, when one or both partners in a marriage are solely self-focused, it leads very often to divorce. And if not, it definitely at least leads to a miserable existence within marriage. So if you don't want that, you, my beautiful warrior saints, you got to be crucifixional. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's the thing that shouldn't work and the only thing that does. And so how do you in your life begin to start thinking with a new framework, a crucifixional, self-sacrificial framework? Well, I mean, it's a hard thing to do. It's pretty clear and simple, but it's really hard to do it. We put a plan for you. I mean, if you want it, like in our battle plan, which you find here, we are deliberate in saying, here's how you think crucifixionally. So like, it's time to quit fooling around, baby. Go get it. I mean, it's simple. It's just click and follow it. You'll see how easy it is. And in this plan, we're going to show you how to be crucifixional in all aspects of your life, how to follow what Paul is saying in Ephesians 5, right? To love as Christ loved the church and gave. And one of the modules in particular, we call it the heart module. It's focused on relationships with a particular emphasis on marriage. So it's like, it's up there for you guys. If you're interested, go get it. I'll end here. We're also doing some work. Greg and I are putting together, and he actually is putting together some work on marriage itself, a whole track on how to be really crucifixional within the confines of marriage. All right, I'm done rambling. I love you. We're going to be back tomorrow. Greg's going to lead us tomorrow about one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of marriage and making it successful, and that is to keep God always front and center. We'll see you tomorrow. Share us, like us. If you got any thoughts, any stories of your own, comment, throw them out there, baby. We love it. Don't wait. Get it and get some. Till then, as always, keep walking in the way of the warrior saint.